Welcome to Bonnie's Beat. I'm your host producer, Bonnie Squires. We're coming to you from beautiful downtown Wayne in Radnor Studio 21, and we broadcast in Lower Merion Township and in Radnor Township. So a lot of people get a chance to see our show. We like to bring you interviews with interesting people who are doing something important in the community. And our guest today, Michelle Scolnick, is somebody who's a mover and shaker, and that's why we're wearing red, because in memory of her mother, she mounts blood drives every year. So Michelle Scolnick, thank you for coming.
Thank you very much for having me.
And tell us the name of your blood drive.
We hold a series of blood drives called the Carol H. Axelrod Memorial Blood Drive. As you mentioned, these drives are in memory of my mother, who became dependent on blood transfusions while being treated for multiple myeloma, which is an incurable blood cancer.
How many months or years did your mother survive by getting blood transfusions?
We had an extra year with my mother because the blood products she needed were available to her. She had fought the disease itself for 5 years, but experienced a complication that led to a bleeding problem. And from that point on, she simply couldn't tolerate any continued traditional treatment for the cancer itself, no chemotherapy, no radiation. And for 11 months, she received transfusions of blood products, blood and platelets, at least twice a week.
Twice a week?
At least. If she was hospitalized, she received more blood than that. And that time was a gift that was given to us because during those 11 months, thanks to those blood products, she was able to continue to live independently, enjoy almost all of her usual activities. She wasn't working anymore, but she could go out with friends, have dinner, see movies, and most importantly for our family, spend time with us and making memories that we will always treasure and that simply wouldn't have been possible if the blood hadn't been there for her.
How old was your mother when she passed?
She was 60.
Too young, 60. Very young.
Yeah, but she had this complication I referred to was a bleeding problem, and this took place in July of 2007. She was hospitalized, sent to the emergency room, and the doctors told us at that point the only thing they could do to try to stop the bleeding was give her multiple transfusions of blood and platelets, and really they were just hoping at that point that her body would start to do what it needed to do to heal itself. And there was a 2-week period of time where we really didn't know what was going to happen. They were very frank with us. She was awake, she knew everything that was happening, and they said, if we can't get these blood products, you will die. And it's a very difficult thing to hear and frustrating to some degree when you know that what is necessary is a blood donation being made by some stranger, and you just have to hope that it was made and that blood will be there for your loved one.
But you must have sent out a distress signal to everybody you ever met in your entire life, come give blood, right?
Well, the interesting thing is that blood products really need to be on the shelves before they're needed.
Oh.
In an emergency or simply for a patient who may be receiving chemotherapy or has been in an accident, there is no time for blood to be donated and tested and processed and then given to that patient. The blood already needs to be available. And that's something that I think many people may not realize or understand. Our experience has been that people look at blood as part of medicine. That just as a drug may be available from a pharmaceutical company, the blood's there. People don't have necessarily any reason to understand really what is behind blood donation and what it does for patients. And I am the first to admit that I didn't understand until our family found ourselves in this situation.
See, years ago, I had a friend who was having heart surgery, but she had a week in which to get her friends to come and donate to the Red Cross and specify that blood was to be reserved for Helen Berkowitz. So that's what we did, but she had a week's notice that she could do that.
we inquired about that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And we were told, first of all, of course, my friend may not have the same blood type I do,
Right.
so that may not be a possibility anyway. But we talked about directed donations. Could I donate blood specifically for my mother? And I was told, first of all, in that crisis situation, certainly my blood is important, but it would be better for me to just make a habit of donating blood regularly so that it's available for anyone who may need it.
Right.
And people who are undergoing surgery, as your friend did, may have that opportunity to donate actually sometimes for themselves ahead of time.
Yes.
Or if they know that there's a family member or friend who's the same blood type, that could be directed. But in the case that we found ourselves in, my mother needed so many blood products.
So much, twice a week. Oh.
At least for 11 months. But that was a gift that blood donors gave to our family, and after my mother passed away, the reason we started holding these blood drives was because we wanted to do what we could to give that gift back to other people, give that to other families as well.
You had alerted me to the fact that only 38% of the public is even eligible to donate blood. I guess that's because of illnesses or conditions that they have.
There can be any number of reasons. Yes, blood collection agencies estimate that in the United States, only about 38% of the population is eligible at any given time. And those reasons for not being eligible can range from travel to a particular location in the world to
having
illness.
the flu.
Well, someone who is on antibiotics can't donate that day, can't donate blood. And part of that is for the safety of the donor, and part of that is for the safety of the patient. Many of the people who receive blood products have compromised immune systems.
Right.
So of course, there's a lot of care taken to ensure that the possibility of their having any kind of reaction to the donated blood is as low as possible.
The year after you lost your mother, did you just wake up one morning and say, I'm going to start a blood drive? I mean, how did the Carol Axelrod blood drive originate?
Well, we didn't even wait a year.
Oh.
My mother passed away on July 1st, 2008 at Lankenau Medical Center. And coincidentally, the hospital was holding a blood drive that day. They have traditionally held 4 blood drives each year. And when my mother passed away, we already were very aware of how important those blood products had been for her. And it was important to us to, in carrying out the lessons that she taught us, to find a way to give back. So in her obituary, we actually asked people to donate blood in her memory. But of course, we had no way of knowing if anyone actually would do that. So we decided that we would like to try to work with Lankenau on their next blood drive, partly as a way of giving back to the greater community, and also as a way of thanking everyone at Lankenau for what they had done for her and for our family. My mother had a wonderful personality and a terrific sense of humor, and unfortunately, over the course of her illness, she was in several different departments at Lankenau for one reason or another, and everybody knew her name. If she were admitted to the hospital, you know, it's sort of a gallows humor to talk about, but people would be waving at her and, oh, Carol, it's so good to see you. And we were thinking, no, you know, we'd rather that we were seeing her at home. But it was a very warm place, and we made some friends there. I still keep in touch with some of the nurses who took care of her. So this was a way for us to say thank you to Lankenau, and that's how we came up with the idea of not only holding a blood drive and sponsoring a blood drive, but also making it special and a celebration of my mother's legacy. And we started with the idea of giving everyone who came to that first blood drive a gift bag and making special refreshments for them. Not just a bag of pretzels and a bottle of water. We wanted it to be more festive than that. There's always lots of chocolate at our blood drives because my mother would have had it no other way. And that first blood drive at Lankenau turned out to be the hospital's most successful blood drive ever.
Very interesting. I'm sure they were grateful.
Well, I hope so. I hope so. And we talked to them and to the Red Cross after that, and we decided that we would like to turn this into an annual event at Lankenau. So we have been holding blood drives every October at Lankenau since 2008. This year will be our 9th annual blood drive in my mother's memory. But after doing that for a few years, I felt that I wanted to be more involved and try to spread the word about the importance of blood donation beyond the halls of Lankenau. and my family and I live in Radnor Township. So we started talking about the idea of trying to start a blood drive here in Radnor. And that is how the Carol H. Axelrod Memorial Blood Drive in Radnor Township was born. And we held our first drive here in 2012. And on May 10th of this year, we will hold our 5th annual drive in Radnor.
May 10th from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. in the Radnor Township Municipal Building. Here we go. And how do people, I guess you have to sign up for it, or you can just drop in?
Either is fine. We certainly will not turn away someone who comes to the drive that day. However, for staffing purposes, and our goal is always to make sure that people have a positive and pleasant experience at the blood drive. It helps us to have some idea of how many donors to expect. So if possible, we ask people to schedule a donation appointment, and they can do that by visiting our website, which is www.chabloodDrive.org.
That stands for, CHA stands for?
Carol H. Axelrod.
Carol H.
Yes.
Axelrod, chabloodDrive.org. And you're
Yes.
tied in with the Red Cross, correct?
The blood drive runs under the auspices of the American Red Cross, so people can also schedule a donation appointment by calling 1-800-RED-CROSS and mentioning sponsor code CHA Memorial.
You don't actually stick anybody at the blood drive.
I do not. I no worries there.
What do you do?
I greet donors at the registration table. I'm very happy to be able to have a personal interaction with our donors. My husband and our 11-year-old daughter, when before school and after school, comes over, and she likes to hand out refreshments at the refreshment table. My husband is there all day as well. We have some family friends who assist us. We really like to create a warm and welcoming atmosphere at our blood drives.
How many people showed up last year at the Radnor Township Municipal Building? Do you have any idea?
We collected 131 units of blood last year.
That's very impressive.
Oh, thank you. That was our highest collection total at this location to date.
Fantastic.
But we're hoping to surpass that this year.
So that meant 131 bodies showed up, right?
Well, about 150 bodies showed up. There can be reasons, as we mentioned earlier,
yeah.
why people may not be able to donate. If you have a cold,
Yeah.
even if you're feeling okay, the Red Cross staff will advise against it. Again, partly
Yes.
for the safety of the donor, partly for the safety of the patient. But by and large, the people who come to donate are able to donate. And yes, every unit of donated blood, another thing people may not realize, is that donated blood can be divided into components, including red blood cells, platelets, plasma, and each component can be given to a different patient. So one blood donor who donates 1 unit of whole blood has the ability to save or extend as many as 3 lives.
Unbelievable. Can they freeze blood?
The ins and outs of specific processes with blood donation are not my area of
not your
expertise. No. I mean, there are many different blood components, and the scientists and the people at the Red Cross who work in the labs know exactly what to do. I wouldn't want to give out any misinformation. But what I can say is that blood products do have a shelf life. Platelets, for example, have a shelf life of only 5 days.
Oh.
And so when blood platelets are donated, and we don't collect platelets specifically at our blood drive, there is a way that people can specifically donate platelets through Red Cross donation centers. It's a slightly different and longer process than whole blood donation. But there is that processing time, as I mentioned before, but those platelets need to be used within 5 days, and then the supply needs to be replenished. Red blood cells have a somewhat longer shelf life, 42 days. But again, if there's always a need for blood products, but what people need to understand is that as wonderful as it is to donate blood once a year, if you can donate more frequently, that's even more wonderful. And people can donate blood every 56 days, donate whole blood, which means if it's timed properly, an individual really could donate up to 6 times per year.
Unbelievable.
So we hold 3 blood drives that are spaced out intentionally to allow people who want to donate at all 3.
You also, on your beautiful flyer, well, I'll hold the flyer up so people can see what I'm talking about, at the Carol H. Axelrod Memorial Blood Drive, the one on May 10th at Radnor Township Building. You make donations to the DMAX Foundation and Delaware County Special Olympics. How'd you pick these two charities, and what is the DMAX Foundation?
Okay, well, this is part of what we call our Community Challenge program. And challenge, when we write it out, we capitalize CHA because it is part of our blood drive, Carol H. Axelrod. A few years ago, we started thinking about the fact that we have had wonderful support from each of the communities where we hold our blood drives. We hold our May drive, of course, in Radnor Township, our October drive at Lankenau Medical Center, and we also hold a blood drive in mid-July in Lansdale, Montgomery County. And the communities in each location really have rallied around us and shown wonderful support. Now, when a person donates blood, they have no idea where that blood is going. You don't see the end result of your donation. And we wanted to do something to give back specifically to the communities where we were holding the drives, which we can't do through blood. So we came up with the idea of selecting one or two local nonprofit organizations based in or near the communities where we're holding the blood drives. And our family pledges to make a monetary donation to each organization according to the number of units of blood collected at that blood drive. Now the challenge comes in that if we can surpass the previous year's blood collection total at that location, we will double our donations to the organizations. So we think it's a win all around. We have found that some people who support the organizations we've selected will come to donate blood perhaps for the first time. It's not something they had ever considered doing before. And so we are able to collect more blood, help more hospital patients, and of course make a larger donation to those organizations, as well as raise awareness for them among our donors. So we always look for organizations that have some kind of either a connection with our family or that my mother might have supported for one reason or another. And we've had the honor of working with several wonderful organizations. For this year's blood drive, we selected Delaware County Special Olympics and DMAX Foundation, as you mentioned.
What is DMAX?
DMAX Foundation was founded a few years ago by Radnor residents whose son had passed away. And they work to eliminate stigma and encourage safe and caring conversations with young people about mental health issues and emotional struggles, just to get kids talking.
Was it suicide?
It was.
Oh,
so
that's a big problem with young people today.
And that's why that organization is working so hard. They're trying to start clubs on high school campuses and college campuses to let kids know, you have a place to go, you have people you can talk to.
It'll get better. It'll get better.
So we're very happy to have the opportunity to work with them. And of course, we believe very strongly in what Delaware County Special Olympics does in providing athletic training and competition opportunities for children and adults with intellectual disabilities.
That's wonderful. The Delaware County Special Olympics is part of Pennsylvania Special Olympics, right?
Yes, but they're their own. They do their own fundraising and have some programs for their athletes.
Are they the ones that go to Villanova University to have their athletic day?
I'm not 100% sure about that. I know what you're talking about. I'm not sure if that is more than just the Delaware County.
It might be the whole state.
I don't know the details.
It might be the whole state. People get a gift bag.
Oh yes.
What's in the gift bag?
Oh well, you'll have to come to find out. It changes. I will say there's always some chocolate.
Okay. Okay.
But yes, we like to really make it each blood drive a celebration, and this is a way we can celebrate and give back and thank the donors for what they're doing.
Judge Renee Hughes, who's the CEO of the Red Cross of Southeastern Pennsylvania, must love you, Michelle Scolnick.
Oh, well.
She should.
Oh, thank you very much. You are welcome to tell her that.
I will.
Well, thank you. Thank you. That's very nice of you to say.
Well, but you also know a lot of the staffers from the Red Cross Drive because of what you've been doing, yes?
Well, Red Cross Blood Services and humanitarian services do different things, and my volunteer work and my experience has been mainly with the people at Blood Services, which is headquartered at 7th and Spring Garden Streets. We do see a number of the same staffers at our blood drives in each area because many of them work in a certain geographical area. The Penn Jersey blood region of the American Red Cross actually collects and supplies blood throughout the 5-county southeastern Pennsylvania area and the entire state of New Jersey. And their reach is extending actually up into northeastern Pennsylvania as there's been a merger with the northeastern Pennsylvania region up there as well. But the blood that we collect here and that is supplied to the hospitals here is, this is what I mean about the territory that we cover. Because our blood drives take place each year in the same 3 locations, we do have the privilege of seeing a lot of the same staff, which also helps to create an atmosphere that is personal for our donors.
Are you eligible to donate blood personally?
I am, and I'm happy to say that I actually made a donation 2 weeks ago and made sure that the timing of my donation would enable me to donate it at our blood drive in May. Yes, but again, as I've said, a lot of people don't understand the importance of donating, and I will admit that I was not a blood donor before my mother got sick. And I had tried to donate once and had been deferred because my iron level was too low. When you go to a blood drive to donate, a part of the process involves a mini physical. The staff will take your blood pressure, take your temperature, take your pulse, and then they will check the amount of the hemoglobin level or the amount of iron in your blood by just taking a little pinprick of blood from your finger, and they have a machine and they can test it. And this one time that I tried to donate years ago, I was told my iron level wasn't high enough, and I never went back and tried again. And when my mother got sick and we found ourselves in this situation at Lankenau where we were waiting during those 2 weeks hoping she would be able to leave the hospital, I realized that it was really time to start donating, and that is when I started donating again, or started donating for the first time. And
your blood was acceptable?
My blood was acceptable, but there are things people can do to ensure that their blood is acceptable. It's important in the week leading up to a blood donation to eat foods that are rich in iron.
What are foods that are rich in iron?
Some foods, and I know this all too well, red meat, poultry, spinach. It can help to actually eat foods that are high in vitamin C at the same time that you're eating foods high in iron, because the vitamin C can help your body absorb the iron better. So iron fortified cereals with strawberries are a good choice, or drinking orange juice with your cereal. I've had to get creative. I sometimes am somewhat borderline with my iron level, but I do what I need to do because it's important to me to try. And of course, if someone isn't eligible to donate or they're deferred, they still receive a gift bag at our blood drive. we hope they will come back and try again. But there's a lot of information not only on our website, but also on Red Cross Blood Services website, which is redcrossblood.org, that gives lots of details about iron-rich foods.
Let's say that again, redcrossblood.org.
That's right. That's
okay.
right.
And if they Google Red Cross, I guess they can find it too.
Yes. Through the General American Red Cross website, there's a tab for donating blood, and that will take you to the specific Red Cross Blood Services website, where if you have a question about your eligibility to donate, again, because of medications you may take, or an illness, or travel, or, I mean, in Pennsylvania, the rules can be different in different states. In Pennsylvania, for example, if you just got a tattoo, you have to wait 12 months before you can donate blood. And
I'm not planning on getting a tattoo.
Well, okay. But should that ever be part of what you do?
Isn't that interesting?
Yes.
I don't understand tattoos, but that's for another conversation. What can I tell you? Your daughter is how old?
She's 11 years old.
How old do you have to be eligible to donate blood?
In Pennsylvania, a student who is 16 years old can donate blood with permission of a parent or guardian. And there is a form that, again, can be printed from redcrossblood.org that the parent or guardian just signs off on. But people ages 17 and over don't need permission from a parent. They can donate blood.
Do you get a lot of college students who come to donate blood?
Our blood drive in May takes place just after most of the area colleges have gone on break or had graduation for the summer. So we don't see a large number. Yes, they're gone. And that's part of why we hold the drives in the time frames that we do. Summer in particular can be a difficult time for blood collection because regular donors go on vacation. They don't keep to their normal schedules.
They're at the beach.
They're at the beach, where blood drives, of course, are held at the beach, but not everyone is thinking about doing that sort of thing. A lot of people donate through their jobs, and of course, if they're not at work, they aren't having a blood drive. And the high schools and colleges that hold so many drives throughout the school year aren't holding those drives. Plus, in the summer, people sometimes engage in behavior that possibly leads to more accidents. There's often a bump in the need for blood. So we time our blood drives in a way that we hope helps to shore up the supply for the summer. The May drive helps with that, leading into the early part of summer. As I mentioned, the red blood cells can last for 42 days. And then our blood drive in mid-July, we hope, is doing something to take everyone through the rest of the summer.
Where is the July blood drive?
It is at a location called the Reserve at Gwinnett in Lansdale, Montgomery County. This is a community, an over 55 community with a beautiful clubhouse, and we pull people in from the pool and we say, wouldn't you donate, please? And we will be expanding that blood drive this year for the first time from what has been a 5-hour drive for the past 3 years to this year a 10-hour blood drive. We'll be there for the whole day.
Terrific. And October is back at Lankenau.
Back at Lankenau.
And they've got so many hundreds of people that pass through Lankenau in the course of a day. It's just amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a huge medical center these days, Lankenau.
It is.
It really is. And I'm sure people from Bryn Mawr Hospital that are attached to Lankenau will come over as well.
Well, we're very fortunate to see many people who are affiliated with the hospital, but we also have about half of our donors come from the outside community, and
that's even better.
It's wonderful. It's wonderful.
Do you have commissioners from Radnor Township and Lower Merion Township who line up to give blood?
We have certainly had Radnor Township commissioners who have been very supportive. The Lower Merion commissioners, I'm not aware of. I wouldn't say lining up, but we really do have wonderful community support, and we're very grateful for that.
Well, we'll drop a word in the ear of some of the Lower Merion commissioners and tell them you have to be May 10th.
Well,
go out to Radnor and donate, or wait till October and go right to Lankenau.
We would welcome them at any blood drive they'd like to attend.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And at the Reserve, isn't that interesting? It's a senior citizen, 55 and over lifestyle. I'm sure there's hardly anybody there who's actually as young as 55. Am I right?
Well, I would not speak to that. But the way that drive started really is a wonderful example of the feeling that we hope to create with our blood drives. When we held our first blood drive in Radnor Township, most of the people who attended were from the immediate community. But there was a gentleman who came, who it turned out was a retired principal from the School District of Philadelphia, who is extremely committed to donating blood. And because he is retired, he has the luxury of time, and he really looks for drives that fit into his donation schedule because he wants to donate every 56 days or as close to that as possible. So he came in, he donated, he won a drawing prize as it turned out, so I was in touch with him after the drive to let him know about the prize. And we had struck up a nice conversation with him. We learned that our families had a lot in common. My mother had been a school teacher in Philadelphia, an elementary school teacher for 30 years.
Good for her.
Her father had been involved in the administration there as well. So we had a very nice conversation. And he ended up coming to our blood drive at Lankenau that fall. And when he was leaving, he said to me, if you'd like to ever expand your blood drive again, I have a perfect location for you. My wife and I live here. We have a wonderful facility, and I would be very happy to see.
What's his name?
His name is Mark Sadeloff.
Okay.
He said, I'd be very happy to see
champion,
my
Mark Saddle.
absolutely. He said, my friends and neighbors should be donating blood. So he helped us get the blood drive started there. And we've now held 3 blood drives at the Reserve at Gwinnett that each one has grown every year. He is incredible. He's tireless, and he papers the area out there with flyers. And the one year, a woman came in who worked at a store nearby, and she came in her uniform, and she said to me, I'm looking for the man who came in to buy balloons this morning. So he had gone to a store to buy balloons to put outside and let people on the street know where the blood drive was taking place. And he had talked to the cashier about the blood drive and had encouraged her to come. And she ended up coming and donating blood with us.
That's wonderful.
So
well,
he's
our guest
great.
today has been Michelle Scolnick, who has created the Carol H. Axelrod Memorial Blood Drive. And May 10th, right in our own backyard at the Radnor Township Municipal Building from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. You can come and give blood, meet Michelle and her workers, her volunteers, and maybe win a prize, but definitely get a grab bag. So thank you very much, Michelle.
Thank you.
Hope to see everybody May 10th.
Yes, thank you very much.